Well, can you see that? Truck's got the camper on its back again. If you follow me on my Instagram page, Covet the Camper on Instagram, you'll you know that my transmission went out. Oh, I guess it's been almost 2 months now, but got the transmission rebuilt, did the upgrade actually to the heavy-duty transmission, and everything's back up and running. Got the camper back on the truck, and we're getting ready to take off to Central Oregon for a week or so. And got a little project before I go. I got to get the freshwater tank cleaned, and I'm going to put in a clean out deck plate so I can have access to the inside of the tank. Take you inside and show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so for this freshwater tank clean out, I bought a 6-inch screw-in deck plate. Got this at West Marine. It was about 15 bucks. It's got a clear lid. You unscrew it, and the deck plate gets mounted actually to the tank. So you do have to cut a hole in your tank, but it's sealed. It's got a gasket, and then you also seal it with a silicone-based sealant. Silicone-based sealant, I'm not sure if I'm going to do, because it is a polyethylene water tank, and silicone doesn't stick very well to polyethylene, so I'm just going to use the rubber gasket that's included, and that should do good enough job preventing it from spilling out at all. So I'm going to go ahead and take the lid off of the the access lid off of the water tank here, and show you how I'm going to line this thing out, cut a hole in the top, and then get it all sealed up and ready to install. Okay, so tools needed: pair of wire cutters or snips, a utility knife, Sharpie, just a small 1/16 inch or maybe even a 3/32 drill bit for the pilot holes, stainless steel screws. Of course, you're going to need the deck plate and screw gun. I'll go ahead and start removing the screws and get access to that now. Okay, there's the water tank. It goes down pretty deep down in there. So I think I'll have good access right in this area. It gives me enough room where if I need to get to the fill pipe or the drain pipe right here, I can get my hand down in there and access those. So I'm going to get this marked out and get to cutting the hole. So the cool thing about these is they just unscrew, and there's you can see that there's a rubber gasket there. So when you thread this in, it tightens up against that rubber gasket and it won't leak. With my Sharpie, I'll draw a line on the outside all the way around, so I have a guideline to cut the hole out with my utility knife. I don't want to cut it too big. I'll cut it a little bit smaller than it needs to be, and if I need to, you know, just kind of scrape a little bit off to get this deck plate to fit down in there, I'll do that. But don't cut it too big to begin with. You'll have to go and buy a larger deck plate and then cut a larger hole. Just go slow. Just be really careful not to slip. Alright, so there's the hole. You can see how dirty this tank is. Had some leaves and stuff in a hose, and when I filled up the tank, of course, it all went in the water tank, which is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. I was filling up water and using a regular garden hose, and the garden hose had a bunch of leaves and stuff in it, and I didn't have my filter on the camper, and all the leaves and everything went right into the tank, so I had to figure out a way to get this tank cleaned out. And now I can, with this deck plate in here, I can clean this tank out, you know, a couple times a year, or even, you know, it's so easy I can do it every time I use the camper. I can drain the water, get it completely dry so there's no moisture in there, let it air out, sanitize it, and you know, that way you're ensured that when you're using your onboard water in your camper for drinking, that it's safe to drink. Okay, so holes cut. It's a snug fit all the way around with no gaps, and I will seal all the way around underneath this. I'll seal all the way around here underneath. I'm going to go ahead and clean out that tank before I get the deck plate installed. I'm going to get everything vacuumed out of there with my shop vac, sanitized with a little bit of water and bleach, and then rinse it all the way out and drain it. Alright, so one other thing you're going to need is something like this, some silicone to seal around the outside of the deck plate. That's the fill tube right there. Let's see if we can get it better. There's a screen on it. No, there's no screen on it. Huh. Well, unless there's a screen part way, it doesn't look like there's a screen at all on that, so all of the debris went into the tank. There wasn't as much as I thought, but I guess what I'll do is run a hose and just fill the tank up part way and re-vacuum it out, just to make sure I got everything out of the hose, the fill hose from the outside. Alright, so just making sure that I got all the debris out of the hose, which I have. I've run about 15 gallons of water through that hose, and now I'm going to drain everything out and refill it using a little bit of tank sanitizer, just bleach and water. Another mod I did, I just added a length of hose here with a plug on the end, so when I open up my valve, it goes, you know, out the back instead of running all down the side of the RV. So yeah, you can use fresh water tank sanitizer from like your RV store or whatever. Just fill up your tank, drive around a little bit, slosh it around, and then run it through all the lines. And then drain the tank, put in fresh water, flush the lines again, turn on all the faucets, flush the lines, and drain the tank. I do that 3 times and just, you know, get everything out of the tank. But now that I've got the deck plate on there, I can actually go into the tank and either vacuum out or mop up with a towel any residue, and then clean everything out with you know, just clean water, and get the inside of the tank all nice and clean before I seal it up, and then fill it up with fresh water before my trip. So I'll show you another little thing I'm doing to seal up this deck plate is I've got some of the small, I think it's 1/16 inch or 3/32 rubber screen gimp, and you know, for putting your screens in your house on your screen frames. I'm just going to run this around the inside lip of this, cut it to length, so I've got just enough when I stretch it tight to close that gap, and then that way I've got another rubber gasket. So there's a rubber gasket on the inside for the deck lid, but I want to have another gasket here, and I'll screw that in, you know, using the 6 screw holes, and then run a bead of this Loctite silicone around the outside, just to ensure that it's not going to leak, you know, going down the road when it's sloshing around. Mark where the holes go. Okay, so those are all marked. I'll go ahead and I've got a small drill bit just to run a pilot hole. So of course I'm drilling this and there's pieces of plastic going into the tank. This is just the first flush with the bleach. I'm going to flush this 3 more times with clean water and mop it out. So I'll get all those little, you know, all these little tiny plastic pieces like that. Okay, it's all sealed up. Deck plate clean out for your freshwater tank cost me about 20 bucks altogether with everything. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked the video. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the video, give me a thumbs up, and see you on the next one. Later.